Livy Dunn, All-American gymnast and Viore athlete. When you travel and train as much as I do, you find happiness where you are. On the mat or on the sand, movement and comfort are essential. That's why I live in Performance Joggers by Viore. Made from DreamNet fabric that's made of 89% recycled materials, effortlessly soft and made to move as much as I do. My happiness starts here, in the softest joggers on the planet. Get 20% off your first purchase at Viore.com/Livy. That's VUORI.com/LIVVY. Exclusions apply. Not only will you receive 20% off your first purchase, but enjoy free shipping on U.S. orders over $75 and free returns. Go to Viore.com/Livy and discover the full versatility of Viore clothing. Exclusions apply. Visit the website for full terms and conditions.
This is an iHeart podcast. Guaranteed human.
It's an Olympics you'll never forget. Prime time in Milan. The moments.
Chloe Kidd with the gold medal flex.
The stars.
Ilya Malinin.
Out of this world.
The spectacle from beautiful northern Italy with very special guests every night of the Olympics. Experience the world's biggest show. Prime time in Milan, tonight 8/7 Central on NBC and Peacock.
Why have I asked my electrician I found on Angie.com to bury my pet hamster Nibbles in our yard for me? Because I was so moved by how carefully he buried my electrical wires, I knew I could trust him to bury my sweet Nibbles after his untimely end. Nibbles, gone too soon. May he scurry in peace.
Hey, sorry about your pet, but I just wire stuff.
Nibbles would have loved you like a brother.
Connecting homeowners with skilled pros for over 30 years. Angie, the one you trust to find the ones you trust. Find pros for all your home projects at Angie.com.
The big game commercials are basically must-see TV. This year, Elf Cosmetics went all out with an absurdly funny telenovela called Melissa. It stars Melissa McCarthy, Nicholas Gonzalez, Itati Cantoral, and Elf Glow Reviver Lip Oil. The Elf Glow Reviver Lip Oil is an ultra-glossy tinted lip oil that nourishes, hydrates, and enhances your lips' natural color.
Watch the full episode of their new Elf novela on soyunbaño.com.
Well, the holidays have come and gone once again, but if you've forgotten to get that special someone in your life a gift, well, Mint Mobile is extending their holiday offer of half off unlimited wireless. So here's the idea. You get it now, you call it an early present for next year. What do you have to lose?
Give it a try at mintmobile.com/switch.
Limited time 50% off regular price for new customers. Upfront payment required. $45 for 3 months, $90 for 6 months, or $180 for 12-month plan. Taxes and fees extra. Speeds may slow after 50 gigabytes per month when network is busy. See terms.
Support for The Middle comes from the Tyler Dickman Foundation, now matching your donations dollar for dollar for a limited time at listentothemiddle.com. Welcome to The Middle. I'm Jeremy Hobson, and for Valentine's Day, we are devoting this hour to whether it is still possible to be in a relationship with someone who has different politics. And to start things off, I want you to just think about, what do you think the percentage of Americans who are in relationships with people who have different political party affiliations is? The answer is 23%, which actually is higher than I would have thought. That is according to a University of Michigan study from 2024. The study doesn't say whether those who are in relationships with people who have different political views are miserable. Maybe we'll find out this hour. Now, we know that in recent years, it's common to unfriend or unfollow someone on social media if they don't share your politics. Some people end friendships and even cut ties with family. But what if it's your spouse or your partner or your boyfriend or your girlfriend? That is our question this hour. Can you be in a relationship with someone who has different political views? You can call in at 844-4MIDDLE. That's 844-464-3353. Or you can write to us at listentothemiddle.com. We will get to your calls in a moment. But first, to some of your voicemails from last week about what the middle class actually looks like in 2026 and whether it's still achievable.
From Phoenix, Arizona. I think the real thing about the middle class is the disappearance of the living minimum wage. In the 70s, a person could work as a bus driver or a gas station attendant or a teller at a store and be able to pay for their entire life.
Hi, this is Maddie from Detroit. I got to say, I am frustrated with folks saying we have no interest in financial literacy. We have no ambition. I'm 30 years old. I have a full-time job with the federal government, which is supposed to be a foundational middle-class job, and I cannot afford my mortgage.
Hi, my name's Ron from Toledo, Ohio. I'm a public school teacher. I began my career working in the inner city and was broke, penny to penny, paycheck to paycheck. And now I've spent the last decade plus in a nice suburban school, and I've actually made more money now than I've ever made before, but I still feel as broke as ever.
Wow. Well, thanks to everyone who called in. As always, you can hear that full show on our podcast. Just subscribe to The Middle wherever you listen to podcasts. So now to our topic this hour. Can you be in a relationship with someone who has different political views? Our number is 844-4MIDDLE. That's 844-464-3353. Or you can write to us at listentothemiddle.com or comment on our live stream on YouTube. Joining me this hour, psychologist and author Tania Israel. Tania, welcome.
Thank you so much. I'm so happy to be here.
And Bill Doherty is with us as well, a couples and family therapist and co-founder of Braver Angels. That's the organization that is aimed at bridging political divides. Bill, welcome to you.
Glad to be here.
So, Bill, you out of this group have been alive the longest. Is this a relatively new phenomenon where politics can get in the way of someone's love life?
I don't know how you came to the conclusion that I've been. Yes, but it probably is.
You've been practicing, I think, for 44 years, according to the web.
Yeah.
So
yeah. Okay, so you got me.
Okay.
Yes, it's harder now. It's harder. So ask a question again. I got so distracted by my age. Ask it again.
Well, do you think that there's something new happening here where people might have a hard time being in a relationship with someone with different politics?
Sure. Absolutely. There's no question about it. And there's even a little bit of survey data, not about marriage, but about who people might marry that speaks to this. In 1960, only 5% of Americans said they would be uncomfortable with somebody of the other political party marrying into their family. Okay, inter-party marriage, 5%. You can imagine at that time interracial marriage, interfaith, right? 5%. Now it's up to 40 to 45%.
Wow.
And so there is definitely a kind of a taboo about this now that reflects the increasing rise of polarization and identity politics around politics.
Tania, what are you seeing in your practice, and do you agree?
I want to add to something that Bill was talking about, which he's describing affective polarization. When we think about polarization, we often think we're talking about ideological polarization, people's views being really far apart. Turns out that we're a little bit farther apart than we used to be, but what's really ramped up considerably over the years is the mistrust and distance that we feel from people on the other side of the political spectrum. And that's affective polarization. So, we don't want to live near, work with, or have a family member marry somebody who's in a different political party. And we really see that playing out in all kinds of interpersonal relationships, including romantic ones.
Tania, is it healthy, do you think, for couples who are of different political views to argue about politics, or is it better to avoid the subject entirely?
I hear people taking a lot of different tacks with this, and some of it depends, it's not just about how, where we are in the political spectrum, but it's also about how attached to politics are we? How invested, how much of a priority is it for us? I love knocking on doors before elections and talking to people. And I found this one couple, and I knew that she said, oh yeah, we're different political parties. And I said, oh wow, that can be hard for people sometimes. How are you doing it? And she said, oh, we have experience with this. This was in Pennsylvania. She said, oh yeah, he's a Steelers fan. I'm an Eagles fan. We got this. We know how to do it. So, for some people, politics is at that same level as their sports team affiliation. But for some people, politics is in a very different realm, and it's their top priority. And that makes a difference in terms of how easy or difficult it is to either just set it aside and not talk about it, or how much people might feel like they need to get into it.
Bill, what do you think?
Yeah, it's people. I agree that it's people handle this differently. It's also getting harder because politics, as I was saying, has become more part of our identities. It's sort of replaced religion for a lot of people as sort of core to who I am. Whereas, whether I'm an Eagles fan or a Vikings fan, well, for some people actually, but for many people it's not as core. But I don't have any prescriptions about should they talk about it or not. It's what people are capable of. And a big part of that is not trying to convert somebody to your own viewpoint. That's where people get in trouble, is not the conversation, is that can't you see the obvious fact that you're wrong? Well, good luck on that one.
Right. No, my grandmother at my wedding gave this poem where she basically said, the last line of it was, when you're wrong, admit it, and when you're right, shut up. Which is a good lesson for a marriage, I guess. But I mean, to that point, Bill, does this connect with the kinds of things that you do with Braver Angels, where it's not about individual relationships where people are married or in a relationship with each other, but it's about how do you talk to people that you don't even know about politics?
Right. How do you treat them with respect? How do you treat them as if they have a mind? How do you come across in such a way that you're not the sole possessor of the truth about complex political things? How do you listen to people? And also, how do you find common ground? Because that's if you engage in a constructive conversation where you're not trying to put somebody down or to get them to change their mind, you actually find out that you have more values in common. This is one of the things I've learned in the 9 years with Braver Angels, is that we're closer together on some core values than we are on policies. And so policies are means to an end. There's they're how we get somewhere. But in terms of core values, a lot of times people who marry each other have those. They care about the welfare of our children and of our elderly. They want the healthcare system to work for everybody. They believe in immigration, but they probably should be regulated. It's just that if you start the conversation, well, what do you think about ICE and what they're doing? Where you're getting all this different information, you start at that level and you can start to flare.
Tania, when we talk about political disagreements among couples, and we sort of got to this a little bit, but is it about the issues or is it about identity at this point? Are people disagreeing over a tax policy or something like that? Or is it just about, I'm on the red team and you're on the blue team?
Yeah. Politics has become so tribal for us. So it's like, are you on my side or are you evil? Pretty much. And some of this has to do with, we have these cognitive biases. I think about them as flaws in our operating system that cause us to distort our understanding of ourselves and other people. So some of those biases, confirmation bias. We're going to focus on information that confirms with what we already believe to be true. We're going to ignore or dismiss information that conflicts with our existing beliefs. So we're reading all of this stuff and we think, oh, I know all these things. And if you haven't been seeing the same things I've been seeing, well, you're just ignorant, you're misinformed, you're buying all the disinformation. One of the cognitive biases that we have is called motive attribution asymmetry. This is the one where we think that our side is motivated by love and by protecting other people. And we think that the other side is driven by hatred and greed and selfishness. So if somebody holds...
Introducing Fidelity Trader Plus, the next generation of advanced trading from Fidelity. Customize your tools and charts and access them seamlessly across desktop, web, and mobile. For faster trades, anywhere you go. Try the all-new Fidelity Trader Plus. Learn more about our most powerful trading platform yet at fidelity.com/Trader Plus. Investing involves risk, including risk of loss. Fidelity Brokerage Services, LLC. Member NYSE, SIPC.
The different view. We're not just disagreeing with them about their view. We're seeing them as being morally corrupt. And so what I really encourage people to do is, if they find themselves thinking they are uninformed, they are biased, and they are hateful, notice that that's consistent with cognitive biases and wonder if there's maybe another way of seeing that. Maybe there's more to it. And having that curiosity is a great approach to these conversations so that we really see the other person
A reminder, you can reach us at 844-4MIDDLE. That's 844-464-3353. And, of course, one of the most famous bipartisan couples is the political consultant couple, Democrat James Carville and Republican Mary Madeline. They have been married for 33 years. Here they are talking about the secret to that success in the CNN documentary Carville, Winning is Everything Stupid.
There are tens of millions of people in the United States that don't even know anybody from another party.
It never occurred to me that your love interest in politics would be a determinant in a relationship. But a majority of people don't want to date somebody from the other party. So a majority of people just want to think like they think and be validated 24/7. Well, I think that's sorrowful. I don't have to agree with him, but he makes me think.
By the way, Madeline switched from Republican to Libertarian back in 2016. One more thing, by the way, for Valentine's Day, if you love The Middle, we are matching donations dollar for dollar right now at listentothemiddle.com. They are tax deductible, and thanks to a generous gift from the Tyler Dickman Foundation, again, dollar for dollar match at listentothemiddle.com. Thank you so much in advance. We'll be right back with your calls on The Middle.
It's an Olympics you'll never forget. Prime time in Milan. The moments.
Chloe Kidd with the gold medal flex.
The stars.
Ilya Malinin.
Out of this world.
The spectacle from beautiful northern Italy with very special guests every night of the Olympics. Experience the world's biggest show. Prime time in Milan, tonight 8/7 Central on NBC and Peacock.
Why have we asked our contractor we found on Angie.com to be our kids' legal guardian? Because he took such good care when redoing our basement that we knew we could trust him to care for our kids, all 8 of them, should something happen to us.
Are you my dad now?
No, sorry, I do basements. Connecting homeowners with skilled pros for over 30 years. Angie, the one you trust to find the ones you trust. Find pros for all your home projects at Angie.com.
How do you make chicken nuggets like 7,000% better? Short answer, you let Taco Bell make them. Long answer, start with all white meat chicken nuggets, bread them in crunchy tortilla chips, and serve them with Hidden Valley Diablo Ranch. Yep, that's Hidden Valley Ranch mixed with Taco Bell Diablo sauce. It's exactly what it sounds like, and somehow even better. Simple math, spicy results. Crispy chicken nuggets from Taco Bell. A brand new classic. At participating U.S. Taco Bell locations for a limited time only, while supplies last.
Ever wonder why so many people regain weight after stopping a GLP-1? Up to 40% of the weight lost can come from lean muscle. This weakens the body, slows metabolism, and makes it easier to put the pounds back on, creating a cycle of dependency. Prolon's 5-day fasting-mimicking diet offers a drug-free way to maintain results and support long-term metabolic health. In just 5 days, it activates fasting pathways to burn fat, protect muscle, and rejuvenate cells, all while letting you enjoy real food. Get 15% off plus a $40 bonus gift when you subscribe at prolonlife.com/iHeart. That's prolonlife.com/iHeart.
This is The Middle. I'm Jeremy Hobson. If you're just tuning in, The Middle is a national call-in show. We're focused on elevating voices from the middle, geographically, politically, and philosophically, or maybe you just want to meet in the middle. We're at listentothemiddle.substack.com as well. This hour for our Valentine's Day episode, we are asking if you can be in a relationship with someone who has different political views. Our number is 844-4MIDDLE. That's 844-464-3353. Or you can write in at listentothemiddle.com. I am joined by psychologist and author Tania Israel and couples therapist and Braver Angels co-founder Bill Doherty. And the phone lines are lighting up. I'm actually fascinated to hear what our listeners think here and if they've got experience here. Brian is calling in from Tampa, Florida. Hi, Brian. What about you? Can you be in a relationship with someone with different political views?
Not at this time.
Not at this time.
I've been married, over 40 years. I consider myself kind of a towards the center Republican, kind of like a Eisenhower. Right now, I'm a guerrilla Republican. I'm still in the party. I vote against the least offensive candidate, and then I vote probably Democratic in the general. But anyway, we've been married a long time. Got 3 kids and grandkids, you know. Our relationship's pretty good, but she voted for him the first time. I told her, you know, we vote by mail, we're elderly, and I said, I want to see your ballot. I had her convinced that I want to see your ballot, and it's a hard thing.
But you've been able to keep it going even after all of that.
Yeah, she came around after January 6th.
Okay.
Yeah.
Interesting. Bill Doherty, you hear that, a couple that's been together for so long, and then one votes for Trump and the other one's not happy about it.
Well, that's where I have seen the biggest divisions occur around Trump. It was way back in 2015 when I heard somebody, in fact, it was a fellow couples therapist who told me that if she had told her husband that if he voted for Trump, she would divorce him. It blew my mind. I still remember where I was sitting when this person told me that. So this is a post-Trump phenomenon, and Brian, I just have to say, with all kinds of respect, for him as a person, telling your wife she can't vote for him and then insisting on seeing her ballot is the sort of stuff that is happening now that isn't necessarily healthy for relationships.
Let's go to Randy, who's calling from Houston, Texas. Randy, what about you?
I've been married to my husband for 20 years this July, and we've been in different political parties the entire time. And it was actually more of a problem for us during the first Trump presidency than it is now, because a policy of one party or another is a means to an end. It's what's the values that lie behind it. So as long as we're values aligned, as long as we, want the same thing, think the same thing, then we spend a lot of time just trying to be, one with Ephesians and, be patient and kind and love people through it. But this time around, it's actually been easier because it's been so much more extreme. And I don't know if that makes sense, but it's been so clear where things have been happening that are out of alignment with his values. Because I would say he's more of an old school John McCain Republican, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So, yeah, we've had some pretty nasty fights early in our marriage about LGBTQ rights. And, I don't know if he's softened or I've softened, but he's more pro-LGBTQ and I'm less mean, I guess.
But do you still talk about politics a lot with each other?
We do, actually, because we have 2 teenagers who are very thoughtful and well-informed. And so we'll debate it at the dinner table with our kids. Because what I don't want is for them to live in a world where they're afraid or misinformed or feel like you can only be part of one tribe. I grew up in New Jersey, and we tended in the 80s to be more purple than we are now. Although I consider myself a Democrat, I've voted for Republicans in the past. And I think that's fine. It's which candidate is going to enact the policies that you think are appropriate and right. And the sooner that we can get back to that, I think the better off we're all going to be.
Yeah. Randy, thank you very much for that. Tanya, what do you make of that?
Yeah, Randy, I think that you and your husband are setting a great example for your children. People always say to me, like, what should we be teaching children about, connecting across differences? And I'm like, it's not what we should be teaching them. It's what we should be modeling for them. And so the ability to hold a view and have strong values and talk to somebody and be respectful towards somebody who has different views, if the more we have of that, the better off we're going to be in our families and our communities and our society.
Amy's calling in from San Antonio. Hi, Amy. Go ahead.
Hi there. I've been in a relationship with very opposing opinions, and for me, it's separating out the ideas from the feelings. It's very difficult. Also, I made a point of saying that a lot of times I'm doing the listening, he's doing kind of the ranting, and for me just to kind of sit there and listen to the other side and just let him kind of get it out, I guess. That helps me deal with it or process it on my end. and keep the peace. And then sometimes we'll just say, let's not talk about politics.
Interesting. Do you watch the news together? Do you consume media together or separately?
I would say most of the time separately. Sometimes, he'll send me a reel or some meme or something he thinks I'll think is funny. And, he's just basically attacking, the entire party in general. And he's always quick to say, well, I'm not attacking you. I'm just attacking, your political party. And he puts a lot of stress on your party, or I'm not talking about you, which has always been interesting.
But you feel like you have a good relationship despite all of this?
I would say it's strained at times because of it, definitely.
Yeah.
As far as activities you want to participate in, or if you're out for dinner somewhere and you strike up a conversation somewhere and it kind of turns political or it has political overtones, and because I'm with him, then they automatically assume that I'm the same political views, which I'm not, or else they pick up on it that I'm not. So it just kind of depends on how the conversation goes.
Yeah, interesting, Amy. Thank you very much. Bill Doherty brings up the idea of the social setting that you're in and other people that are around, and are they going to make judgments about you based on your spouse?
Yeah, the third party thing, and I've known people who managed the difference inside the relationship, but they were embarrassed among their friends for their spouse. And by the way, that's often about somebody who was a strong Trump supporter, and their friends have written him off. But Amy is being real here about this. You kind of said, hey, you get along otherwise. Well, she said it's a strain. So I'm glad she's being honest about this. One thing I'll pick up on this is that her husband, it's probably not good that he rants so much, okay? But he does make the distinction that he's not talking about her. The most negative stuff is the rant that says, and you are off the wall. You're, as Tania was saying, you're ignorant. You're participating in evil. There's something wrong with you. So he stops short of that, which is pretty important.
Let's go to Vermont and Christine, who is calling from Saxtons River, Vermont. Hi, Christine. What about you? Are you in a relationship with someone with different politics?
Yeah, very much so.
Tell me about it.
It started about 7 years ago, and we had both come out of divorces, and there were other challenges, and I think that we were probably both in relationships with people that were more politically aligned, but we had other, challenges in those marriages, and as I realized that we were politically misaligned in our relationship, I just sort of had to take a deep breath and be really patient. And over time, I felt actually more heard, more respected for the person that I was, because both of us were leaning in to try to understand each other's political situations, despite the fact that we had come from such different worlds, such different family backgrounds, and such different political backgrounds.
I wonder, Christine, with that experience, and you were able to really lean in and think about the other view, as you look at sort of politics nationally right now and see people screaming at each other and fighting with each other and not being willing to listen to the other side, how do you feel? Do you feel like, I should just give them a lesson on how to do this, or what?
I think probably a lesson that I've taken out of this is I can't tell anybody what to do or how to think. But when I care about a person, instead of telling them what to think, I need to take a deep breath and try to understand them a little bit more. And I feel really grateful that this person that comes from a political, side of the spectrum that my friends and family would not necessarily respect immediately takes a lot of time to listen to what I have to say.
Yeah. Thank you, Christine. And Tania, it just makes me think that there's so much more to people than their political views. There are many other qualities that people have. Why do we put so much attention on how somebody votes?
Right. And Christine, I love what you're doing, because when I ask people, like, why do you even want to talk to somebody across political differences? They'll say there's somebody in my life who I want to maintain a relationship with, or I want to persuade or convince somebody or find common ground or just try to understand how somebody could think or act or vote as they do. And no matter which of those goals we have, the best thing that we can do is to develop a warm and trusting relationship where we're trying to understand them. And that's exactly what you're doing. So it's a great model.
Just got this email in at listentothemiddle.com from Dana in Grand Junction, Colorado, who says, my husband is conservative. I'm progressive. We do just fine as long as we follow 3 sacred rules. 1, we don't watch the news. 2, we don't talk about politics. 3, we don't even joke about politics. So, again, you can write into us at listentothemiddle.com. Let's go to Tessa, who's calling in from Burley, Idaho. Hi, Tessa. Go ahead. Welcome to the middle.
Hi, thanks for having me.
Yeah, tell me about are you in a relationship with somebody who has different political views?
Yeah, so next week we'll have our 21st anniversary, and we're very different politics. But I was also raised with parents. My mom and dad had very differing political views. And so their kids, we got exposed to a lot of political discussions that, were heated but respectful. And it was good for us to be able to hear both sides and to see how that a respectful civil discussion with opposing views could be handled. And I hope we're doing the same thing for our kids, so that they could be informed on both sides, but make their own decisions. My husband makes his votes, I make mine. We probably cancel each other out, but it's okay. It's not a huge issue. It was funny just to even hear that topic on the radio. It's never been a big issue for us.
It's never been an issue for you, even as politics have gotten so polarized recently.
Yeah, it's polarized, but you know what? Neither side is perfect. I mean, I think you can take good and bad from each side. Sure, we lean heavily one way or the other, but neither side is perfect. And I think there's things to be gleaned from each side, from individual politicians, that you can't label anything good or bad completely. So it's just, if you have an open ear and you're willing to learn and not go into a conversation knowing that you're right.
Yeah, Tessa, thank you very much. Bill Doherty, she brings up her kids. I wonder, as a both couples therapist and family therapist, is there a different message to people and how they should deal with their kids if their kids have different politics versus the spouse?
Oh, yeah, for sure. We need to pay a lot more attention nowadays to how we are talking about politics around our children. Because what Tessa is talking about is the modeling. That's what you said earlier. Tanya, that it's not what we say, it's how we model, right? How we act. And she and her husband are modeling respectful conversations. But I'd like to mention, while we're talking about kids here, is that if both people are on the same political side and are very affectively polarized and feel hateful of the other, and they talk about that in front of their kids, it may be a bonding thing for them, but the kids are thinking about, what does this say about grandpa? What does it say about Uncle, Fred? And are we teaching, when we agree with each other, are we teaching our children that the other side are evil?
Tanya, your thoughts?
Yeah, absolutely. I think that it's not even about disagreeing about the issues, but when we are framing people who disagree with us as being immoral and evil and stupid, that is not benefiting our children and ourselves. I appreciate, Bill, you bringing up this idea of even people who agree with each other about politics. There's some issues there, because even if there's agreement on the issues, there can be very different ways of managing emotions and news and social media. And so I think some of the things that we're hearing about how folks who are in politically different relationships are sort of put some boundaries on things. Okay, well, now we're not going to talk about it and things like that. That can be really useful whether or not we are in agreement, but just because it's such a politically stressful time.
Joe writes in at listentothemiddle.com. I grew up with a dad who was a Republican and a mom who was a Democrat, and they would frequently discuss politics at the dinner table. I loved being exposed to differing views and never felt like their opposing politics diminished their love for each other or unity as a couple. The current political divisions feel less ideological, though, and more centered around personalities. Again, our number is 8444-MIDDLE. Now, there are actually dating apps out there that will filter out people of the opposite political party. One of them is called The Right Stuff. It was funded by Peter Thiel and launched in 2022, designed entirely for conservatives. Here's one of their early ads.
In my personal experience, conservative guys have better manners.
I like that they understand their role in the relationship as a man. I just prefer my men to be masculine.
And what's the biggest red flag when it comes to dating?
A Democrat. No Democrats.
A Democrat. Can't be a Democrat. A Democrat. That's easy. A Democrat. No Democrats. So no.
Find the right match. Download The Right Stuff today.
And we should note that in November of last year, The Right Stuff was discontinued, in part because there weren't enough women on it. More of your calls coming up on The Middle.
It's an Olympics you'll never forget. Prime time in Milan. The moments.
Chloe Kim with the gold medal flex.
The stars.
Ilya Malinin.
Out of this world.
The spectacle from beautiful northern Italy with very special guests every night of the Olympics. Experience the world's biggest show. Prime time in Milan, tonight 8/7 Central on NBC and Peacock.
Why have I asked my electrician I found on Angie.com to bury my pet hamster Nibbles in our yard for me? Because I was so moved by how carefully he buried my electrical wires, I knew I could trust him to bury my sweet Nibbles after his untimely end. Nibbles, gone too soon. May he scurry in peace.
Hey, sorry about your pet, but I just wire stuff.
Nibbles would have loved you like a brother.
Connecting homeowners with skilled pros for over 30 years. Angie, the one you trust to find the ones you trust. Find pros for all your home projects at Angie.com.
You see it instantly. It's Coldwater Creek, the mark of exceptional workmanship and signature touches inspired by a Mountain West heritage. Distinctive styles created from quality fabrics, silhouettes perfected with just the right drape, feel-good fits offering ease of movement, and thoughtful details to elevate your look. Coldwater Creek's authenticity is embodied in every piece, embracing its confident spirit that carries through to today. Discover Coldwater Creek clothing, designed to fit your life the way you want. For a wardrobe you can count on season after season, visit coldwatercreek.com. Shop the new spring collection at 20% off $75 or more with code IHEART20.
Welcome to the A Building. I'm Hans Charles.
I'm Menelik Lumumba. It's 1969. Malcolm X and Martin Luther King Jr. had both been assassinated, and Black America was at a breaking point. Rioting and protests broke out on an unprecedented scale.
In Atlanta, Georgia, at Martin's alma mater, Morehouse College, the students had their own protest. It featured two prominent figures in Black history, Martin Luther King Sr. and a young student, Samuel L. Jackson.
To be in what we really thought was a revolution. I mean, people were dying.
1968, the murder of Dr. King, which traumatized everyone.
The FBI had a role in the murder of a Black Panther leader in Chicago.
This story is about protest. It echoes in today's world far more than it should, and it will blow your mind.
Listen to the A Building on the iHeartRadio app, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you get your podcasts.
This is The Middle. I'm Jeremy Hobson, and this hour we're asking if you can be in a relationship with someone who has different political views. I'm joined by psychologists Tania Israel and Bill Doherty. You can call us at 844-4MIDDLE, or you can go to listentothemiddle.com. Just before we get back to the phones, we heard that ad, Tania, for The Right Stuff. Do you think selecting a partner based on politics is any different than selecting one based on religion or income? And by the way, there are apps for both of those things too.
Yeah, I am hearing people, setting their apps and saying, no, nobody from this political party, and filtering them out themselves. A lot of that has to do with how we think about the people who are on the other side of the political spectrum. And we think about them in these very flattened out stereotypical ways that are based on, what we see in the media and on social media and our own biases. So I love that we're hearing from people who are in these relationships, because it says, when you're actually with a three-dimensional human being, you can develop these connections. Now, it's not for everybody. Not everybody is going to be able to do that or want to do that. But I think it's so important that we hear the ways that it's working for folks.
All right, let's hear from somebody maybe who thinks it's not so possible. I think Jay is calling in from Ledyard, Connecticut. Jay, tell me your thoughts on this.
Hey, how are you? Thanks for having me. So I'm a guy in my 20s, and I'm a Democrat, a hardcore Democrat. Tanya, you mentioned earlier about how you knock on doors before elections. I do that every year. I knock on doors. I call phones. I talk to people across the political spectrum. But, when I was single again, trying to get back out there, I always thought, oh, well, I can date a Republican, I can date a Libertarian, I can date whomever, politics isn't what's important, it's the person. Well, I had encountered so many times over and over and over again trying to date people, and anyone who was of a different political party, would hear that I'm a Democrat or that I volunteered for Democrats, and they said, absolutely not. We're not going to be compatible. We don't have the same values. There's no way. And it went from me, trying to make it work to me just saying, you know what? Every time I try, I get pushed away. And, something else that I've noticed too is, it's not just Democrat versus Republican or liberal versus conservative like a lot of people have been saying. I'm a Democrat, and, I'll hear people who say that, they're very far left, and they hear that I'm a Democrat, and they say, you're not far left enough for me. You're not progressive enough for me, even if I've not for really progressive people, or if I could have the same beliefs, but they don't care. It's that tribalism in my experience.
All right, Jay, well, thank you very much for that. Bill, what do you make of that?
Well, two points. One, and Tanya referred to this earlier, people within the same political party can divide up and have some of the same issues. If you're not a democratic socialist, and
right.
Right. And so the same kinds of things this polarization can happen anywhere and around any topic. And the other is, at an individual level, you could choose to only want to marry somebody who is of your religion or your race. It's okay. I mean, we get to, if I'm an avid skier, maybe I want to try to marry a skier, okay? So he's run into rejection, and so sure. But it's more, what Tanya and I are talking about is, if my choice of this is because those are bad people, that's where it runs into problems, as opposed to, I think my life will be more comfortable if I marry another Presbyterian Democrat. Okay, go for it. It's a big dating world out there. So go for it. But if I think anybody else, there's something wrong with them. That's the problem.
All right, let's go to Helen in Richmond, Virginia. Helen, go ahead with your thoughts about this.
Well, I married a Republican. He was in the military. He's now retired from the military, and he respected Reagan a lot. Was a Republican because they got a really big pay raise for the first time back then, and so he supported that party. But we didn't meet until early 2000s, and we had a great relationship. We are opposite thought processes, but as he went into the government work, and everyone surrounded him started being very conservative and mean and aggressively so, then he retired early, I think, because of the atmosphere in his office.
What did it do to your marriage?
Oh, we are very similar minded now. We grew together, but at first we just allowed it. It's not something that our other values are very similar. And so that allowed us to talk about things and come together and go, this is what I'm going to do, and this is who I'm voting for, and this is why. But we have come together. He actually, I poll sit with the local district, and he comes with me and does it. So he's more similar now. But my biggest issue is my best friend, I found out, is a very conservative Republican now. And she's the first person I met when I came to town. I've known her for 25 years. And for a while,
just briefly, Helen, are you still friends with her?
Yes, I'm very good friends with her.
Okay, thank you so much, Helen, and Tanya. A lot there, but sounds like she and her husband kind of got a little closer together over the years in terms of their views.
So something important to keep in mind: there are people that are far on the left. There are people who are far on the right. But most people are actually in the middle, like what More in Common has done some great research on this. They call the middle the exhausted majority. Yeah. And so people who are in that exhausted majority might be more likely to feel connection to other people who are on another side, but maybe not at the most extreme. There's also like people who are very extreme on one side or the other have a lot in common with each other. Interestingly, they tend to be more connected to their political parties, more, they watch more news. They might have more of that kind of affective reaction to the news. But I think, one of the things to keep in mind is that there's a lot of ground in between where people aren't necessarily as far on either extreme, and people can have those connections.
Yeah. Let's go to John, who's in Pittsburgh. Hi, John. Welcome to The Middle. Go ahead.
Hey, good to be on here. So I'm 30 years old, and I vote Democrat. And being 30 and young, I've been on a lot of dates and dated a lot of people in the past. And one of the women that I dated was also a Democrat, but I lean a little more centrist while still being Democratic, and she was pretty far left. And politics is something that I find important, but for her it was a really, really important thing to talk about. And when we would have discussions, it would get a little heated, and I would typically get a little tired of wanting to talk about politics, but she would want to keep talking about it. And eventually I felt like I was sort of having to back up the other side when I was like, I think we kind of agree here, but her interest in politics was much stronger than mine. And I think eventually that led to us realizing we had a sort of difference in values that broke apart the relationship.
Would that make you in the future talk less about politics, or would you still talk as much about politics as you did there?
Yeah, I actually have been dating someone new, and we don't really talk about politics much at all, and it's been going a lot smoother. So I think it was a lesson learned.
Interesting. Bill Doherty, what do you think? Is that a good lesson?
Well, it's not about the differences. It's about how we handle the differences. And that's the key in marriage and intimate relationships. The differences are there, and they can emerge over time in lots of issues. I mean, I've been married 54 years, okay? There are differences that weren't there at the beginning that come out later. And so it's hardly ever the issues, the differences, what people believe. It's how we manage them. So in that case, his girlfriend was pushing this when he would say, can we let it go? She was pushing into his boundaries on this. If somebody says, I'd like to let it go, and you keep pushing, that's a relational issue there. It's not a matter of if she was more far right and he more centrist. It's how they handle it.
Yeah. Let's go to Lewis, who's in Greenville, South Carolina. Hi, Lewis. What about you?
Hey, what's up? I'm Luis. I'm from Greenville, South Carolina. I've never voted for Democrat or Republican in the federal elections that I've been allowed to vote in. I'm 12 26, by the way. I've just voted third party because I feel like both parties have been like aligned as far as being sympathetic to corporate interests. And so as far as my romantic life, politics has been like significant issue for me. And I'm very thankful for the past 5 years I've been with my partner, and we're both pretty much politically aligned. We've had some arguments and discussions, but I think it's very, very important.
Yeah. Luis, thank you very much for that. And, you hear him talk about the fact that they're politically aligned, and there's a majority. We're talking about a majority. So I guess for a lot of people, maybe they don't have to make this tough decision about dating somebody in the other party because they just are sort of in the middle.
One of the things that comes to mind also is that how much we talk about politics with other people really varies, and how much we're exposing ourselves to things. So I'm also going to say it's actually not healthy for us to have exposure to news constantly, to have the news on in the background all the time, to be talking about it nonstop. And so having some boundaries or containers around that can be really helpful whether or not we're aligned. I've heard actually from so many people who are aligned with their partner, but they're worried about their partner because that person is just obsessed with the news and they can't get themselves away from it. It keeps us like emotionally activated at this level that's not good for our physical or our mental health.
Do you agree with that, Bill Doherty?
I do. Having some boundaries around this part of our psyches, and it's becoming more difficult. I'd like to add this thought that people now are often so angry at political leaders, so angry, but they can't get at that leader directly, so they take it out on their loved ones. The loved one becomes a miniature Trump or Madami or something like that, and so that's. But one of the things I say in therapy and in public settings is we can decide to not let political leaders hurt our marriages and our families and our relationships. We get to decide whether we let them hurt us in that way.
Raymond is calling in from Houston, Texas. Hi, Raymond. Welcome to The Middle. What about you? Can you be in a relationship with somebody who has different politics?
Well, since it's Valentine's Day, my second spouse, my first wife, passed away, and I married a lady that her spouse passed away. We'll be married 10 years, and she and I are in the process of getting divorced because our families that we have to be responsible for are one side or the other, and we amicably are getting a divorce, but the issue was I wouldn't take one side or the other. Anyway, long story short, I stuck by my guns and I don't say anything, and then now they're in a position where, oh God, I got laid off. I can't afford this. I can't afford that. I don't say anything, but I'm the bad guy.
So you're getting divorced because of politics, you're saying?
It's because of family and politics.
Raymond, I really appreciate your call. And Tanya, that's interesting to hear somebody who's getting divorced and just can't stand it anymore.
Yeah, Raymond, I'm sorry to hear that that's happening. One of the things that we find is that people want to be mirrored back not only in terms of their opinions and what they believe, but also in terms of the level of emotion that they have around it. So it sounds like, you're also dealing with family members who have really high levels of emotion. And even if you're not, disagreeing with them directly, just not coming back with the same kind of upsetness or outrage can also set people apart.
Well, I'm sorry that we had to. Go ahead.
Briefly add is that the presence of other family members, this complicates it for couples. This is a blended family, and so it creates complications. Just add that.
Right. That's like going back to Uncle Fred or whoever you said before. I want to thank you both. Tania Israel, psychologist and author, and Bill Doherty, couples therapist and co-founder of Braver Angels. Appreciate you being on. Thank you so much.
Happy to be here.
Thank you.
And next week, we're going to be back here asking you how you feel about America's foreign policy right now, from Venezuela to Greenland to Canada and Iran. You can go to listentothemiddle.com. While you're there, sign up for our free weekly newsletter. By the way, we say goodbye this week to our amazing intern, Annika Deschler, who is leaving us to go off to college. She has been an incredible part of our team, and we will miss her. The Middle is brought to you by Long Neck Media, distributed by Illinois Public Media in Urbana, Illinois, and produced by Harrison Patino, Danny Alexander, Sam Burmistaz, John Barth, Brandon Condritz, and now Marina Price. Our technical director is Steve Mork. Don't forget to subscribe to our Substack newsletter. It is listentothemiddle.substack.com. I'm Jeremy Hobson. Happy Valentine's Day. Talk to you next week.
Owning a home is full of surprises. Some wonderful, some not so much. And when something breaks, it can feel like the whole day unravels. That's why HomeServe exists. For as little as $4.99 a month, you'll always have someone to call. A trusted professional ready to help, bringing peace of mind to 4.5 million homeowners nationwide. For plans starting at just $4.99 a month, go to homeserve.com. That's homeserve.com. Not available everywhere. Most plans range between $4.99 to $11.99 a month your first year. Terms apply on covered repairs.
You see it instantly. It's Cold Water Creek, the mark of exceptional workmanship and signature touches inspired by a Mountain West heritage. Distinctive styles created from quality fabrics, silhouettes perfected with just the right drape, feel-good fits offering ease of movement, and thoughtful details to elevate your look. Coldwater Creek's authenticity is embodied in every piece, embracing its confident spirit that carries through to today. Discover Coldwater Creek clothing, designed to fit your life the way you want. For a wardrobe you can count on season after season, visit coldwatercreek.com. Shop the new spring collection at 20% off $75 or more with code IHEART20.
Over the last couple years, didn't we learn that the folding chair was invented by Black people because of what happened in Alabama?
The Montgomery Brawl.
This Black History Month, the podcast Selective Ignorance with Mandy B unpacks Black history and culture with comedy, clarity, and conversations that shake the status quo. The Crown Act in New York was signed in July of 2019, and that is a bill that was passed to prohibit discrimination based on hairstyles associated with race. To hear this and more, listen to Selective Ignorance with Mandy B from the Black Effect Podcast Network on the iHeartRadio app, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you get your podcasts.
1969. Malcolm and Martin are gone. America is in crisis. And at Morehouse College, the students make their move.
These students, including a young Samuel L. Jackson, locked up the members of the Board of Trustees, including Martin Luther King Sr. It's the true story of protest and rebellion in Black American history that you'll never forget. I'm Hans Charles.
I'm Menelik Lumumba.
Listen to The A Building on the iHeartRadio app, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you get your podcasts.
This is an iHeart podcast. Guaranteed Human.